Democrat morale is at a historic low, and congressional Democrats are debating President Biden's fate as their nominee. The betting markets have dropped Vice President Harris, back down to 20%, with Biden clearly the favorite to face Trump in November, according to the betting markets. So I want you to take a look at this video clip. It's Maggie Hagerman. She says that the Trump team is actually delighting in Biden staying in the race.
Maggie, do you think Donald Trump, does he want to run against Biden?
Yes, I do. I think that I think the idea of not having Biden in the race has been of concern to a number of Trump advisors. Whether they would say that or not, I think is openly is a different issue. I think that they know what a race against Joe Biden looks like, or think they do, and they felt obviously very good about what happened in the debate. A change in that would potentially impact their calculus for what the next 4 months look like. So the fact that President Biden is digging in and telling his critics in the Democratic Party that he's not going anywhere is something that the Trump team is delighting in.
Now, I think she's maybe a little too sure of herself in that statement, because to say they're delighting in it actually belies the alternative, the other side of the coin that she's describing. So if it's not President Biden, it is instead a Vice President Harris who is stepping in, she gains the advantage of the incumbency, which is always something that can be relied upon. A solid number of voters will stick with the current status quo, even if they don't really love it, because it's better than the unknown. But in this case, the unknown is a second term of a Trump presidency, which Americans actually do know and understand what that was like. So you have those attendant realities. But what Maggie Haberman is ignoring is that there is a bloodbath ahead for the Democrats if they should decide to have the open primary system that now you have Jon Stewart advocating for. You have not just writers and op-ed people advocating for it. You now have major media types coming out and writing opinion editorials advocating for this open primary system. Now, the idea there is, well, it will boost morale. It will be unifying. You can bring in stars and Hollywood elites to talk about it. Again, what is the unintended consequence there? Well, they keep mentioning Oprah. Oprah had wild popularity in the years preceding this. Up until just recently, she was seen as everybody's favorite aunt. They're, someone that if she said buy these jeans, everyone bought them. They sold out. Now, in a polarized America, most people on the right and many independents view Oprah Winfrey as a leftist partisan. Also, there's her fundraising junket that she did when the Maui fires occurred in Hawaii. You had millions of Americans taking her to task online social media for her actions there. So any candidate that they bring in to replace Biden indicates that they made a mistake. It's an admission of an error on their part. But beyond that, even if Americans don't care about that, they're looking for someone to unify around that they can put forward as a clean candidate, yet they don't have any. Every person they propose as a replacement has their own baggage, specifically Kamala Harris. The word salads, the unburdening with what is by unburdening what came before. There are so many clips of her making that statement and saying it with, passion, as if it is almost a blessing upon the people who hear it. And nobody knows what it means. Still to this day, we have no idea what she means when she says unburden what came before with what is today. Who even wrote that for her? So the morale of the caucus being at historic lows means that you're going to have some infighting. And at the end of the day, the donors will probably be the ones to have the final say on who remains on the ticket. And it will have to be one of the two who are currently on the ticket in order to maintain that $240 million in funds that have been raised already. So it was Tuesday morning when you saw House Democrats gathering for a consequential meeting. And this kicks off a day of those closed door discussions where the focus centers on Biden's candidacy. Inside the meeting, some Democrats aired concerns and grievances about his viability. Others called for unity behind Biden because it's too late to change. The caucus left without a clear plan on how to proceed. And of course, you have Biden, on the other hand, while these meetings are going on, he continues his fundraising and a kind of unity tour across the country, calling into radio stations, reaching out to candidates who so far are loath to appear with him at events because they're up for reelection. You have the Congressional Black Caucus, Congressional Hispanic Caucus, and the Squad all lining up behind him to reaffirm his viability as the nominee. And you have House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries standing by him as well. So there is a Congressional Progressive Caucus on the left. It's led by Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, and she has declared he is our nominee right now until he is not our nominee. And the suggestion from AOC is that not only is he the nominee, but attacking him lends itself to you assisting people on the right who don't want to see Biden reelected. Florida Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who used to be a mainstay on cable news and all of the shows, who has of late been kind of sidelined. She represents the Jewish wing of the Democrat coalition. Jewish Democrats are under fire right now, not just because of the war that Israel is prosecuting against the terror group Hamas, but because there's an overall sense that the future of the Democrats lies with another constituency that is opposed to Jewish people even being alive. So she issued her own statement. Joe Biden is, will be, and should be our nominee. And this echoes other comments that have been made by other members. So the disastrous debate, the ramifications of it continue to roll on. And you see President Biden making these public appearances, which are meant to shore up concerns that people have and are instead making things worse. The interview with Stephanopoulos, which we really haven't discussed much here on the program, I have to say it was a disaster. It didn't help President Biden to do that interview. It will not help him to stand on the stage with President Trump again. Undoubtedly, a second debate between Biden and Trump will see Trump approach the stage with an even better grasp of the message that he wants to parlay to the American people. So if the morale of the caucus on the left is at historic lows, then what are they going to do about it? One member was speaking to Semaphore, the news organization, and said the morale of the caucus is at historic lows. Told that others compared the mood to a funeral, that person replied, that is an insult to funerals. So it is a terrible time to be trying to make this decision about what to do with the nominee, with the election being just literally weeks away. Now, when they entered the Democrat National Committee headquarters, they actually had to turn in their cell phones. This was a sign of how sensitive the conversation was expected to be. Headed into the meeting, there were signs that Biden's absolute insistence that he will not drop out, leaving Democrats with an ugly prospect of weakening their nominee if kept up. May have saved him for now, but New York Representative Jerry Nadler, actually, he's a longtime and influential member of this caucus, privately said Biden should step aside. Leaving the meeting, he said to reporters, he's going to be our nominee, and that renders further concerns besides the point. So nothing on the right side of the political aisle should change. Every single person who wants to see this country advance our aims of freedom and liberty should be against a Democrat presidency that starts in 2025. The next president must be a Republican. The next president must be someone who respects our norms and is willing to turn this country back over to the people, not the elites. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated. Up next, the Biden administration continues to advance the foolhardy idea of Ukraine joining NATO, but roadblocks persist. I'll tell you more after this.